Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pit Lane Yappers. Today we're going to be recapping the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm Lex.
I'm Haley.
I'm Reagan.
I'm Mox.
I'm Tay.
And Rosie cannot record with us this week because she is having a Taylor Swift hangover. She went to the Eras store today.
She's on a coach on the way home.
Yeah.
Which is insane because it's like midnight for her.
Yeah. So she unfortunately cannot be here with us, but I'm sure she's sending lots of love from the nation of 1684.
Yeah, also kudos to her for
1681.
Oh, whoa. Whoa, we got a new driver on the grid.
She's got 4 on her mind. She's got 4 on her mind.
I know, sorry.
No, that's Travis Kelce, isn't it?
No,
87.
87.
Oh.
Well, lots of 80s.
Anyways.
There's too many 80s.
Well, before we get to any on-track weekend action, we did not get a Carlos Sainz contract not extension. That wouldn't happen. Contract announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Much to the surprise of literally everybody.
And now we're possibly throwing Alpine into the mix.
No, we do not speak that into existence. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey.
never mind.
Hey, listen, hey. They
I'll
were
take
already,
Jarlos.
They were already pushing Jarlos all
I'll
weekend.
take Jarlos
Jarlos.
next year. Trust. Alpine scoring points
Actually-
this year compared to Williams. Let's be so
Actually,
serious.
You know, Alpine is
Take
faster
Carlos.
than Aston Martin, so you know what? Don't
Oof.
even.
Okay, well,
Also,
if we look at
Flavio's
it,
back. Wait, Flavio's
Flavia's back.
Bring back the Renault lineup, 2005, 2006. Except, Jack Doohan, so sorry, you got to sit out of this one. It's gonna have to be Fernando Alonso. I need that 3-time world champion. Or Carlos, either one.
I was gonna say, yeah, why can't it be Jack and Fernando?
hey,
That's
so fun.
way too much of a sleigh. That's way too much of a sleigh.
He did
Carlos
sign
to
an Aston Martin hat
Martin
this
was
weekend.
wild.
Exactly.
so yeah, no Carlos Sainz contract announcement, no announcement from anybody, right?
Boo.
No,
Except,
I don't think
okay,
so.
Esteban Ocon's tweet where it's like, it all started with a dream, and I go, and it's ending with 1-2.
Bro knows he's not getting a seat next year.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
connotation
Which
of
I
that were
actually
kind of
feel-
crazy.
I actually feel
Mhm.
really bad for him.
I know.
I always root for the
Underdog.
underdog. I really can't speak today.
Okay, we got you. We
We're-
got
It's okay.
you.
It's okay.
We're rough.
Tay can't speak every other day. It's okay.
Anyways,
Okay,
We'll get into
Um,
3 plays.
let's get into the
later
weekend.
on.
hold
let's
on.
get into the weekends.
Can we start with F1 Academy really quick?
Well, I was gonna
Because-
start with practice 1, but okay.
Before
Abby
we get into
Pulling-
Formula One.
Bestie of the pod.
Abby pulling and Chloe Chambers.
Chambers.
Yes.
Her first win and America's
First
first
Haas win.
podium.
Yeah. Incredible.
I just want to say
Shocked,
Abby
not me.
Abby Pulling is amazing. Like
Killing
she's killing
She's
it.
insane.
Everybody thought Dorian Penn would like dominate the season, and I'm like, anyways.
Not too much. She broke a rib.
No, I
Super
know,
rip.
but I'm saying everyone thought like she would be like sweeping
Yeah.
it out of the park, and nobody else could keep up with her. And Abby
Yeah.
Pulling has
Said,
proven
"Oh, what
she
about
can.
me?"
Mhm.
I know. I truly will be devastated if she is not brought up to F3 next year after this performance.
Yeah.
I will
I
have
feel
some
like
worry.
Bound to after being like the first
I was
British
like, I hate to break
F4,
it to you.
like
I hate to break it to you. I do not think F1 will allow that to happen.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Susie
But
Wolf had to fight
yeah,
to get F1 Academy on the same
On
weekend
the
as
sa-
F1.
exactly. Oh yeah.
Well,
I don't think
I
that they
mean,
will.
I don't
But-
think. I think Abby Pulling going to F3 isn't that far of a stretch though. Because Sophia's in F3. I don't think it's that hard. And Abby has really proved her worth in
She can
British
do it.
F4 as well as doing F1
Oh, yeah.
Academy. So like I feel like it's not that far of a stretch to think that she'd be able to do it.
Mhm.
I do think it still would be incredibly hard
Oh yeah.
for her to get there, but
Commentators, I don't want to hear the commentators.
I don't
wanna
either.
hear it. I
No.
don't want to hear the comments. I don't want to hear it.
Nope. F1 Academy
Also-
commentators are awful.
speaking of her race win, can we talk about her little celebration where she was like
She went, how
loved
many
that.
did I win? Oh,
She was like,
yeah,
how many was it
4.
again? Queen.
iconic
Yeah.
of her.
I love
Iconic
that.
of her.
There was
Incredible.
a tweet that I was going to send, but I decided just to report it. And they were like, she's so cocky. she's so annoying. Like,
Yeah.
men would
As she
never.
should be.
And
Have you
everybody
would
met
never.
a single
No,
Have you met a man?
Can I tell you the quote retweets for eating that comment up going, Fernando Alonso who? Sebastian Vettel who?
Literally.
Lewis Hamilton who?
Any man on the
F1
podium
drivers are
has
some
done
of
that.
the cockiest people ever.
Are we joking?
I just wanted to mention before we get into like the full course F1 weekend, go Jack Crawford and Juan Manuel Correa.
Also, hello.
my
I'm sorry. Go
God.
Franco Colapinto.
Yes, all three
and-
of
Put it
them.
on the podium.
Yeah,
Can
okay,
I
yes,
just,
In a
and
Williams.
can I
Williams.
just tell you that also Tina Hausman, she has 14 points.
Woo! Fernando Alonso.
Fernando
number-
Alonso. The only 14 points we'll ever get in our lives, apparently, from Aston Martin.
But I do.
This was a perfect podium for me. When I woke up and saw the
It's
three,
been nice.
oh my god.
Juan Manuel Correa. I just have to. His story is absolutely amazing.
Oh my god.
And I wish he didn't get that 5-second penalty.
I know.
Why did he?
On track limits.
Just track limits.
Yeah.
A bunch
But
of
they
people
waited-
have track
But
limits.
they waited
penalties.
2 hours after the fact to
And
give
then
it to
gave him
him.
to like half the grid. Yeah.
So it kind of sucks. And I wish he could have kept that podium as well. But to like on this date, was it five? It's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
5 years. You know, he was P2, right behind Antoine.
Mm-hmm.
In that same track.
Yep.
So yeah,
Oh.
that was just amazing. His amazing story. So woo, 2 Americans on the podium this weekend.
I know, we got to hear the American anthem twice.
So, Formula Feeder Series complete.
Great.
Now let's get into the cars.
What?
Our cars, the main cars.
I don't want to talk about this, actually.
Oh,
Can we go back to the
brother.
Oh,
feeder
God.
series?
Back to the feeder series.
Before we get into the weekend, can I just say, Aston Martin, you better fix your freaking car in 2 weeks, or I will be in your garage with a nail and hammer and
She's
fixing
popping
Fernando
tires.
Alonso's. I will literally be pushing Fernando Alonso at the front.
She's gonna be under the car just tinkering with shit.
I think it was Will Buxton, and I think he was like, yeah, Aston Martin said Silverstone and Austria are not going to be the track for them. And I was like, what do you mean? That's all I'm saying, because I will cry.
Again,
I've got words for teams. I got a word for Williams.
I got a
Logan?
word for Ferrari.
Logan, first of all,
Unfix the car. Unfix the car. Whatever you did made
this
it worse.
was the
Yeah.
first time in months, where Logan and Alex have been running the same spec car.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
However,
I'm well aware. But just saying,
However-
finally.
those specs did the opposite effect for Logan. Don't know what was happening. He was not performing the way that
That's
he was
because they
previously
made the
performing.
car around Alex.
well,
If this is what happens when we have a head of aerodynamics, maybe we should fire him.
fire him again.
Maybe
Make
we
the
did better
position
without
vacant,
one.
please.
Maybe we don't need one.
I'm
I
Maybe
mean,
okay.
better
the
when
car's
we were
built
winging
around
it.
Alex. Why was Alex also having trouble today?
Yeah.
Alex was
because
pissed.
I'm telling you
but
right
that's
now,
in the race.
Williams is like, what do you want us to fix? And he's like, this and this. And they tried to fix it, and it was sort of fixed, but Alex was like, this is not what I meant by fix.
Oh my god.
Anyways, practice one.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Practice one.
Ollie Behrman.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. It was too
Carlos
early.
Sainz P3.
Lando
Woo!
Norris
He
P1.
won!
I had
Anyways.
so much hope when Carlos got P3.
I had hope throughout all of the practice sessions.
I had
Then
zero
came
hope
quali.
for Fernando Alonso.
I
Well,
had hope for a Carlando podium
P9,
in one way or another.
P9, a two-time world champion. P9, a two-time world champion is being called washed because his team can't build a car. With how much money?
Oh my
I do want to
god.
mention though, how FP1, well, all of practice really was kind of a mess with people figuring out their new upgrades and whatever. There 7 out of the 10 teams had new upgrade packages, but
One who wasn't
I
one.
McLaren, and they did great.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say,
Green team that has the most money out of every single team.
Anyways, one of my favorite reoccurring Will Buxton things over the weekend was him saying, "Oh, the team's upgrades," and then stopping himself and saying, "The team's changes," because he wasn't sure if they were upgrades or not.
Wait,
It's
can
just
we talk about commentators over the weekend?
So funny.
What was DC on?
I
She
don't
was
know.
roasting everyone. Poor Logan
being
Sargent. They
weird.
were like, look at
I
this
know.
guy who can't park.
Don't
Like,
start.
actually, that's
David Coulthard, you better hope I never
Listen,
catch
a
you.
really nice parking job. He didn't hit the pole, and he was that close. That takes skill.
Listen, Will
Exactly.
Buxton said
That's the
something
amount of
like
patience I have left. That
Will-
small sliver.
Will was talking. It was like Will and Ruth, and Will said something like, "It's certainly not looking good for Logan Sargent," or something like that. Like about the weekend. It was like after quali or something like that. It was just like I don't remember when it was. I was like, Will, just shut your mouth. Just like, come
All
on now.
I know is
I was
that
like,
Ruth
let's not
kind
do
of
this.
ate him up in the post show. They were talking about like tire usage, and Ruth went on this whole several minute explanation as to why you want to be on the softest tires possible at the end. And Will goes, but then something mediums. And Ruth goes, well, if you were listening, it's because you want to be on the softest tire possible. I said, eat him up, girl. Eat him up.
Well, you want to know who didn't finish on softs? Carlos or Fernando or half the grid.
Man.
Okay. So FP1.
I remember nothing.
all
If I
over
be
the
honest with you.
Yeah, I was
As a
knocked out.
Yuki fan, this was not a good weekend for me, and I hate fortune cookies. They're liars.
Oh,
He was
that
P20.
Want to know
cookie.
whose weekend it was, actually? George Russell, baby!
Oh,
Was it?
Yes, it was.
really?
Crickets.
I
After
actually
that.
think, though, this is just a Mercedes in general comment. And they said it today at the race. Mercedes has finally figured it out again.
I will say they looked
Yeah.
very strong the
Like,
whole
they
weekend.
finally figured it out. Where poor Lewis is now leaving the team, and the team has figured it out, and he's going to a team who, when they're asked
doesn't
what's
have
the
it
problem,
figured
they
out.
say we are checking, and then the rest of the race it's silent.
Yeah.
They continue to checking until they cannot
They're
checking no
still
more.
checking.
Like Lewis Hamilton,
They're
I
still
hope you
checking
know
right now.
you. I hope you know you will have to be your own strategist, your own pit exit person. You got to be your driver. You got to be the team principal. You got to be everyone.
But apparently,
Yeah.
you cannot tell whatever strategy you come up with to the team. Otherwise, they'll give it to the other person. Allegedly.
Mm.
I just want to make it
will
a note.
say-
Guys, I'm wearing a Ferrari jersey today. It's only in a Carlos Sainz way. It's
I got my Carlos Sainz
strictly in a
little-
Carlos Sainz way.
I got my Carlos
Nothing
Sainz
else.
little car. I don't remember anything about FP1. I don't have any notes, which means I was either half asleep or it wasn't interesting enough.
I just remember Ollie Behrman and Yuki being at the bottom and stressing the fuck out.
All I remember is Lex tweeting, Logan Sargent not last.
That's true. He was 18th. I do remember you, I don't know if it was FP1 or 2, but you texting being like, where are they? And we were like 6th and 7th. And then
No,
like 2
that
seconds
was
later,
quali.
Lex went,
That
Was
was
it quali?
quali. I went, do I
That was
even want to
quali.
know how my boys
Yeah.
are doing? And
Yeah.
you went, and Lex went, and then you went 6 and 7 currently, and then a stream of texts of Mox don't watch quali. In all caps.
it happened so fast.
It's always a Mox, no. Repeatedly.
Yeah.
Just in stress.
Honestly, other than just the drivers, like, dealing with, like, traffic and impeding, it was kind of a boring practice weekend, which was kind of nice.
Was FP1 the one where the practice where there was contacts, or was that FP3?
FP3.
Okay, so we'll cover that in FP3. Now on to
We will cover
FP2.
that in FP3.
Lewis Hamilton!
Lewis Hamilton, P1.
I'm not a Lewis
Anyways.
Joined
girly,
with
but
Carlando, like always.
Yeah.
I'm not a Lewis
Yeah.
girly, but I will give credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
So Lewis Hamilton was also like,
I mean, he always does well at Barcelona. What was the
Mhm.
stat they said? That he has 11 podiums. I think they said 6 wins, and he's tied for the most with Schumacher at Barcelona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does
So
really
he
well
just
around that
does
track.
well there.
okay. But also, last year he didn't do very well. So I wasn't
Okay,
expecting
well, we
that.
don't really talk about
didn't
last
do-
year.
It
That
didn't
was the
do
worst
well
car.
in his terms. What was it? I feel like the Alpine was worse.
The worst Mercedes car?
Oh, Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you
I would
meant
like
the
to point
worst
out that
car on the grid.
no, God no. I would like to
We're
point
gonna
out
talk
that
about the
Gasly got
polar-
fourth.
Yep. I was gonna say, are we gonna comment on the polar bear in Texas
Ahead of Max.
ahead
was
of
a sleep.
Charles?
Well, Max was doing
Right.
the classic practice to qualifying Max thing where he's having issues in practice and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden he turns around and is P1 in qualifying constantly.
Yeah.
Like I just take Max practice with a grain of salt at this point because
No, because I every time watch practice and I go, Charles, I was like, Max is complaining finally again, and then he did it again. He's like, never mind.
Just kidding. Yeah.
yeah,
But
I've
I
just
noticed,
learned to just
even if Max complains though, like what I've noticed like lately is if Max is complaining, he either one doesn't win or he doesn't win by the huge margin. And I love not seeing that huge margin at the front.
35
too.
seconds. Yeah.
So Max, keep
So-
complaining.
So when
Yep.
Max complains,
also
it's one of those two
crazy
things.
that when he does complain, it's about things that would like completely screw over any other team and Red
Yeah.
Bull's just like a couple seconds back because of it. Like
Yeah.
I think it's also like, I know that they can't look at other people's, like, teams can't look at other teams' cars and be like, okay, we're gonna copy them. But I feel like
Welcome back, Tracing Point.
however, I feel like a lot of the cars look very similar in their upgrades and in their rear wings and stuff. And I know, like, people are like, they're cars, they have to look some sort of way. But, like, a lot
No,
of
but
the
yeah.
upgrades are the same. And I feel like they're all trying to follow Red Bull's car last year. And they're
Mhm.
kind of looking at it and being like, okay, how did they make it this
Mhm.
fast? And it's like, let's try this. And they're like, okay, well, this didn't work. Let's try this.
Mhm.
And they're trying to follow Red Bull without cheating, but I do think that some teams are probably cheating and we just don't know because it's just not working.
Yeah.
Because they have Adrian Newey and no other team does.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I'm interested to see how, I know this is jumping ahead, but how things are going to look next year. Being the last year before regulation changes. And like,
Yeah.
I'm flashbacks to when all the cars were identical 6 years ago. And you were like, damn, that's crazy.
Who's that?
Who's that?
But
Yeah.
but FP3
Carlos
started
Sainz
out
on
with
top.
a fire
Yeah.
at McLaren.
Yeah.
guys, can I tell you, I woke up and they were like, and I saw, I don't know who it was, but somebody retweeted McLaren going, there is a fire. And I was like, who
It's
started
okay.
the fire?
Andrea Stella was just cooking too hard with his driver lineup. It's fine.
They cooked a little too hard. It's
Yeah.
burnt.
Hey.
But
Good
But
news.
what
I
I was
actually
nice
really
for-
want to know, like, what started that?
it was
It was
something
an
in the kitchen.
electrical fire in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry guys, that was
But
me.
it's really nice that both
I was
like
trying to boil
Pirelli as well
water.
as all the other teams kind of just
That's what I was
extended their
gonna say,
motorhomes
yeah.
for both fans
Yeah.
and then like, for the staff and everyone to
Mhm.
get fed,
duh.
have like housing.
That'd be
Mhm.
so rude if everyone was like, sorry,
Yeah.
sucks. Anyways,
Do you know what I
Just
like?
go sit on the
though?
curb for the rest of the weekend. It's fine.
I love other teams, employees, and like engineers or whoever it was, like coming to help. Like I forgot.
Yeah, Alpine
Alpine ran
they
with
were
some
sending
fire
people.
extinguishers, and I was
okay.
like, okay.
they gotta be really careful. They have 5 people. Nobody can
Yeah,
be
they
injured.
can't lose anybody. I will
Well, I
say,
mean-
can't lose anybody.
I will say that someone was brought to the hospital, but they were confirmed okay like an hour later.
It was smoke
So there were
inhalation.
there were no full injuries, which is
Except
awesome.
smoke inhalation can
It's not great, but yeah.
come back later, but
yeah.
can we talk about how Albon cooked P8?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. I was asleep during like all the free practices. But you know what? Go Alex.
I watched the recaps.
Mm-hmm.
Chef Alex, I guess.
I also have the results right here.
Okay, well, the only thing I basically remember from FP3 that I have thoughts on, there were a couple hits in FP3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start with Lance and Lewis.
He was
Yeah,
innocent.
Lance was not.
He wasn't.
No,
Please,
that was
The FIA say differently.
Poor-
Guys, can I
poor
just tell you
Lewis.
that I saw the tweet from the AM updates and they were like, Lance Stroll and Lewis Hamilton collided, and I was like, he was innocent. And then I saw the onboard, and I went, he was not innocent.
Poor Lewis he was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't see him. Like, he was like putting his hand up, and then here comes Lance. Woo! And I was like,
sort of like Charles today with Carlos.
Yeah. Crazy.
Speaking of Charles,
Likely.
Charles and Lando.
Yeah.
Something was up his ass this weekend. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I would like it to be known that quoted from the FIA said that he hit Lando because he was impeded by car number 4 and it upset him.
Is that not
was so ridiculous?
Is that not attempted murder?
Is that not unsportsmanlike behavior? The thing that Lando got
Road
a warning
rage.
for, and that's crazy.
I think a reprimand for both Lance and Charles was the wrong move, in my opinion, because it's practice. It's practice.
Yeah.
There's no.
It
need
wasn't
to be hitting anybody
qualifying.
During
It wasn't the
practice.
actual race. It was
But the
practice.
thing is, I think,
And they were both
okay,
avoidable.
I think even if it was a race, I think anytime I don't know what Lance said in the stewards because I'm not gonna lie, I had such a bad migraine I couldn't read the document. I was going, nope, too bright.
No,
So,
too small.
but
yeah.
I did read the Charles one, and Charles saying like, yeah, I got impeded, so I hit him. Like that should be a fine, a race ban, something, because that I don't care if it's practice, the race quality. That could seriously injure somebody if you were going faster, if you hit them at the wrong point of the car. Like it could have been a Checo in Monaco situation. Yeah. It could have been Grosjean. Like it could have been really bad. And the fact that
it was FP3, like if it couldn't get fixed by qualifying,
right?
Exactly.
Like it's not even like
he did have front wing damage. Lando did.
They probably would have just given him another front wing, but
well, yeah, but like if it was more extensive,
if
like,
it was Williams,
but still, even so, it should have been the bare minimum.
No more
catching strays.
Like I think he should have gotten like at least a grid penalty.
Yeah, and the bare minimum, the team should have paid for the damage.
Or like I don't know, Fred should have sat him in a corner and been like, "You're in timeout for 10 minutes." Charles is so annoying.
He impeded me and I got mad.
Like, are we in kindergarten? I learned to use your words, not to hurt people.
It's crazy.
I
don't get it.
People were like, I remember when Carlos, it was announced Lewis wasn't going to Ferrari and Carlos wasn't going to get a re-sign. And everyone's like, oh, Carlos is going to drive so dangerously now because he's going to be so freaked out he doesn't get a seat. And I was like, the guy who's secured a seat, he's driving dangerously. He did it in Monza 2023. He did it in Australia. He did it last race. He did it this race. It's a trend. It's not like, oh, Charles just had a bad weekend. Like, he just can't drive if he's not in the front. He doesn't want to drive if he's not front. Which is not how it works. That's how Brosades happened. That's how the Fernando Lewis drama started at McLaren. That's how Seb Mark multi-21 happened. And guess what? Lewis isn't going to take that behavior like Carlos did.
Haley's trigger word. You can't say that.
But Lewis Hamilton will not take that. And I can't wait. I literally cannot wait because one day Sebastian Vettel is going to hug Lewis Hamilton and say, thank you. Thank you. That was for 2018 and 2019.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I have to say about Charles III.
About practice. I just want to talk about Lando in practice. Because he was cooking. He was in the top 3 for every session.
He was basically cooking all weekend.
They had said he would start his stints faster but maintain longer than Oscar throughout the whole stint and overall have a better average like stint time, which I think was kind of interesting, especially in comparison to then Lando's times with Max, because Lando was, I forget, it was a few tenths quicker than Max in the straights, but then Max would gain it all back by the 4th corner. So to see that kind of like
Yeah.
lineup of the difference with basically no upgrades on the Red Bull-ish and no upgrades on the McLaren was definitely interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, McLaren have figured out their car.
Woo! We are so back.
Real racing is back.
Real racing is
Oh my
back.
gosh, I have a comment about that, but that's at the race.
That's during the
Mhm.
race. Yes,
Mhm.
correct.
Quality.
Quality. I was at work
Qualifying,
having the worst day of my life.
Yeah, I was
But,
also at work for qualifying, and I was watching the live timing sheets because I couldn't actually like watch it.
Must be nice.
But I was just constantly
couldn't.
checking it, and I had people concerned for me during Q3 when
Oh my god.
it happened.
Q1. Ouch.
Yeah.
Alex was so close. And then
Wasn't there? Okay, I have one note, and I said, I'm so sorry, Logan, but you were impeding.
Oh, that was with
Well,
Lance.
Oh, yeah.
That's when he
That's
got the
That's
3
when he
place
got
grid
penalty for.
penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
P20 to P20.
No, P20
But then he ended up
P19.
P19.
P19,
The only person
baby.
to ever
Thank you,
go up
Williams.
for a penalty.
Williams working the system.
From P20 to P20 to P19.
Can we, the Alpines were kind of cooking.
They were. I can't lie. I cannot lie about
know
the
who wasn't
Alpines cooking.
V-car.
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Don't.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Don't.
It was
Yuki
This is the
still
first
out-qualified
time.
He's
Daniel
still-
Ricciardo.
he did,
Woo.
but to see them both out Q1 was kind of shocking because they've been
But
pretty consistently average and mid
This was not
for
their
the
first.
entire season.
This was not their
But you know who wasn't out Q1 for the first
Joe.
time? Both Sauber drivers.
Sorry about
First time this season.
Yeah. I will say I don't know why Joe and Yuki were beefing all weekend, but I personally was not a fan of it.
Is that Brewster?
That's
It is.
Brewster.
I am so sorry.
Oh, here's a little.
trying to
I was hearing
He wants to
whimpering.
give his
upset
2
about it.
cents.
I was like, is
He's
that?
also upset about it.
He's putting in his 2 cents. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to get him to stop, but he won't stop.
No,
For sure,
he
I
was-
agree. It's okay.
okay.
Speak your truth.
I was just wondering. I mean, is that somebody's mic moving? Somebody's water bottle, or is it Brewster?
No, that was me. Sorry, I was just crying. It's fine.
Real.
Sorry, just weeping over the Williams performance as per usual.
Yeah. But
As
yeah,
per
I did not.
usual.
I
Okay.
didn't
Anyways,
like Joe calling Yuki out so many times.
They were beefing this weekend.
They were.
Also-
It was one-sided. Yuki didn't do
the
anything.
thing I sent on Twitter where
I read
Joe
it and I'm
called
like,
out
what?
Yuki.
Yeah.
It's
What
like
was
he can
that?
say anything he wants because he has Honda's backing. And I was like,
I was like, bro, he's not even gonna have a seat with Honda's backing
I'm like,
in 2
he's
years.
kind of got a point. He does have Honda's backing. However, that does not mean he can say anything.
I'm like, oh, are we forgetting the last 3 years where he's been shit on by every single person every time he opens his mouth?
Not by me this year.
This
And
year
half of last year. Half of last year I just wasn't in the entire season.
couldn't be me ever. I understand him and his drama.
Well, okay, starting when I
He sees
got
life
into
from his point of
F1,
view.
so last year, I've been supporting Yuki. But I like the underdogs, so
Mm.
that doesn't say
I
much.
just I like when he was bitchy. I think he should go back to yelling.
I think
Hold on.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry. Mox goes, I support the underdogs. Her favorite driver is 2-time world champion Fernando Alonso and also 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel.
I was gonna say something about it, but I decided not to.
Make it make sense.
Actually,
I don't think it does.
I
I
also love
I
George
root for the
Russell and
underdogs.
Carlos Sainz.
Race
I
winners.
actually root for the underdogs.
Arguably not the underdogs.
Yeah,
You want to-
Haley's the real one. That
Excuse
roots for the
me?
underdogs.
I think
Yeah,
excuse
Mark
me
Webber.
is. I think
Excuse me.
Hold
No,
on,
so
hold
I'm
on.
not rooting for
No,
underdogs.
No, because she has 3. She has 1 in IndyCar, Joe, Yuki.
But I think collectively, I think
Mark
Lex
Webber.
wins. So.
Don't
Yeah.
throw Mark Webber into this.
You threw Sebastian
Hey.
Vettel into it.
He's Sebastian Vettel.
You can't bring in Sebastian Vettel and not allow Mark
Okay,
Webber to
that's
be brought
valid.
in.
Yeah, they come in a pair.
They are
Anyway,
a pair.
wait, he-
They are
at least
Rosie
Mark
Mox.
Webber's a notable name. But underdogs. Excuse me. Logan Sargent.
Right now.
Alex Albon.
That
The
oh, wait,
entire
actually,
Williams
I'm gonna-
Racing team. David Malukas broken wrist until today. Are you kidding
Okay,
me?
I was a Daniel Ricciardo fan, and I finally got him into a car, and then he broke his wrist the second
David
he got into
Lucas
that
is
car.
fifth. He's not an underdog. He's running fifth.
Anyways,
It's fine.
leave him
You know,
alone.
You know who's down in 24th? Nolan
Big
Seaver.
boy. Okay, anyways.
You want to talk
How's-
about rooting for the underdogs? I'm a Liverpool fan.
Girl,
They
nobody
haven't
talk
won
about
since,
football.
like, the 60s.
Crickets.
You've
Can we just
lost
put
us.
crickets here.
Hey, David
Nobody-
Lucas is up
nobody-
to third now.
Guys,
Pardon?
I'm out of
Anyways.
He's up to
seltzer.
third now, David.
That's my boy. Let's go.
Anyways,
Is that fair to bring us into Q2?
Mm-hmm.
You know what my shock is? Wait, hold on. That kind of feeds in. I was gonna say, Checo was not out in Q2.
shocking.
Technically,
Shock.
yeah.
Eventually he
Shocking.
was, but bro, this logo pisses me off. I catch it in my camera. Let me move my hair.
Mine's a snake.
Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Not
Shell
a
and
shell
Puma.
logo. Okay, anyways,
Anyways.
Q2. Both passes are out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
likely.
Likely.
One of them
Looking
got
around
out in
for
Q3,
shock.
the other
Guys, for the
Bo-
first time.
Botas 12th. I mean,
Joe may have made it in. Well,
Okay,
Hey, he made
actually,
it.
he made
If
it.
we're, if we're
You know
moving to
what?
Q1,
Q3.
Q3.
Take a
Okay,
minute.
we can go back in time if you want.
We need to take a
It's fine.
minute.
okay, the last qualifying session,
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
We're not
Which
going to
is
name names.
an Alpine got through.
Both.
Anyway.
I remember checking that at work, and I went, that seems suspicious.
I remember both Alpines went through. I remembered Checo's grid penalty. Haley pulled up in the group chat with, if he gets eighth, anything less than eighth, or more than eighth,
Yeah.
he's down. Fernando's up.
down.
And for the rest of the session, I'm like, please, Alpines cook.
Yup.
Please, Alpines cook. I
know,
got
I was
stressed
like, I'm doing math.
because
I'm
Oscar
doing
didn't set a
math.
time, but the Alpines did do what they needed to do.
As
Yeah.
president of 1681 not being here, I would like to say I have to stick up for Rosie's van, aka Oscar. Charles, you're on your own. Anyways, Stewart said something out for Oscar Piastri, at least in qualifying, and then we get to the race. Oscar is my enemy.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I think people were being too hard on Oscar with the track limits, and then him pushing too hard that he went on the gravel when he was trying to set a second time. Because he is so good that I think people are forgetting that he's only been in F1 for a year and a half, and he had a shit car for half
Real.
of last year.
Mhm.
So he's
Well,
only
you want
had
to
a
talk
good
about somebody who had
car?
a really bad car for his entire F1 career? Just look at Lexus Man.
Why is she catching strays?
I've already
was
had a bad
weird.
weekend.
Are you gonna take that, Lex? Lex, are you gonna take
No,
that?
literally.
She's not lying.
I'm just saying, Logan could be as good as Oscar. He just can't prove it.
Well,
Because
That's a
he gets his
that's a
car
bold
taken
claim.
away.
okay, cut this
I said
out.
could be.
I love Logan to death. I don't think he's to Oscar's caliber.
No.
No chance.
No, that's because
But
Oscar.
that doesn't mean that he's not to, say, someone like,
Kimi Antonelli?
oh, well,
Girl.
I was gonna drop an F1
That's
driver's
too soon to
name.
tell.
I was gonna
Ooh.
drop an F1 driver's name, but I feel like I would get attacked by someone.
Charles
Say
Leclerc?
it.
No. A certain Yuki Tsunoda.
Oh no, I agree.
Oh.
I completely
Okay.
agree.
Phew.
Yep. No,
I-
I
But
don't know if
I fully
anyone
think Logan
here-
has the capacity to drive at least to that level, if not better, if he was in a better car, a more
Mhm.
suitable car.
Hear
A
me
car
out.
that has spare parts.
a car
Like,
that has
2026,
Just a
2025.
car.
Logan
Bro,
Sargent.
get on my
to-
back, Logan. I'm running us to the end.
Give him a bike at this point.
Fernando, lend him a scooter, please.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
anyways.
don't know if anyone else watched back when Yuki was on the feeder series. But
Bro, I just said I
I-
joined in 2023.
okay, sorry.
Also.
Anyway, Well, they do have pretty similar driving styles, at least back then. Obviously, we can't really compare them with their current vehicles, but yeah.
Whoa. My brain just goes, I connected dots. Liam and Yuki are friends. Logan and Liam were teammates. I said, wait a minute. Whoa. Connections. And yet, nothing. Logan is still alone during driver's parades, and it breaks my heart.
Hey,
He was
Anyways,
out. He was out talking to
Carlos
people.
handshaked him.
Also,
Who?
Logan was out talking to people.
Carlos.
Yeah,
today.
because he called him and said, hey, I'm taking your seat.
Oh.
Hey, maybe not. He may have called Pierre.
Oh.
Let's talk about. Was it last night?
Pobrecito. Anyways, back to qualifying. Q3.
Yeah.
It was, besides the strays that made it in, aka the Alpines, a fight
Mhm.
for first.
Yeah.
It was scary.
Lando,
I'm gonna be
of
so
course, had
Yeah.
to leave it to the last lap, making
I-
everybody nervous, like always.
Everybody leaves it to the last lap.
Max
Also,
had such a good lap, like all purple sectors, that I was dozing off at this point. Because it was early for me.
You know
Obviously
what
an
was
hour behind you
disappointing?
guys. And then Lando, I was like, my mom and I were watching it. We were like, oh, he's definitely like, this is a really good lap. He's gonna jump up to second. And then he jumped up to first, and we both went. I just screamed.
200ths of a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
anyways, Carlos Sainz is cooking all weekend, and then come time for qualifying,
No,
he places
I
it.
don't want to talk about it.
He played. Okay, wait, no. The way that it went with the last set of
I'm calling
laps at the
sabotage.
flag. Max was first. Everyone's like, okay, he's gonna take it. Yada yada.
Yeah.
Carlos is setting flyer. He's setting a flyer. Where
Mhm.
does he place it? P2. I said, stop the count.
Yeah.
Count. And then
here
Charles
comes
came and
Charles.
knocked him out, and I said, go to hell. And then Lando Hood. I said, okay, I'll take you instead. And then came the
Yeah.
Mercedes. Wait, no. Yeah, it was Lando
Yeah.
first, and then the two Mercedes, and then
I
it
was
pushed
getting-
both Ferraris down to the third row.
I was getting
Gas.
nervous seeing the Mercedes, the last ones. I was getting a little scared. Don't know why I was getting scared, but because George did put it on pole before, I was like, there's always that possibility of again. So I was really scared, and then he only went P4, and I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
George was P4, Lewis was P3.
Mm-hmm.
And
But-
this is where my favorite fun fact of the whole weekend comes in. The last time McLaren got a pole in Barcelona was Kimi Räikkönen in 2005 on May 8th, which May 8th, 2005 also happens to be the day Oliver Behrman was born.
Yup.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ollie Behrman.
Oh my
Happy birthday,
God.
Ollie Behrman. Happy birth. Happy birth,
Happy
Ollie
birth.
Behrman. But yeah, Q3 was crazy. But leave it to our boy Lando to take pole for the second time in his Formula One career.
Second
And
time
we
in
were
Grand
all
Prix.
banking on redemption.
Yeah. I
And
wish that the
then
commentary
came the race.
would stop.
Then came
linking
George
everything sketchy.
Russell.
The women were
Cricket.
too scared to speak.
I'm sorry,
Cricket.
the
Oh, I'm not scared.
silence was
Guys,
hilarious.
that is totally gonna be a clip.
The
God, the
crickets.
Can I
Yeah.
just say,
I was praying for someone to DNS during the formation lap. You know how funny that would have been?
yeah, me too. I had a specific car.
Oh, me also. I had a specific
We
3
did.
cars,
We
actually.
did have a pit lane start.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Anyways,
Anyways,
Logan Sargent P19.
Yeah.
You have been promoted. He
Yeah.
was in P dead last, at least at the start.
Hey, can we just? I know none of you are a fan of George Russell, but his start was insane.
No, it was
Compared
a
to
very
Max
good start.
and
It was a
Lando.
very
He was
good
smart
start.
and he knew where to be whilst Max and Lando were fighting.
Definitely going in the
I
highlight
wrote
reel of the year.
I wrote all caps with a bunch of hearts. George Russell.
Likely. That
Keep it
makes
up.
one of us in
But
a group
his-
of 5.
Also,
his...
wait, can we talk about the George radio where they were like, we just want to get data on the pushing, and he went more than others?
Yeah.
He's like, it was kind of like, he was like, aren't you supposed to be telling me
He's like, shouldn't
how
you have
I'm
the
pushing
numbers?
versus how other people are pushing? Which I was
Yeah.
like, well, there's the Mercedes we know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But his
Start
leading
was
didn't
clean,
last
though,
very
compared to
long.
everyone.
Oh, the start was not
Well,
clean.
The
Oh,
start
no,
was not
it
clean
was
for
not.
K-Mag.
It wasn't clean for K-Mag. It wasn't clean
Yeah.
for Alonso, Oscar, Charles, or Carlos.
Forget that I spoke. The start was clean for the Williams boys.
Let's
Woo,
talk about
for
let's
once.
talk about that
Woo.
Ferrari start first. Charles Leclerc. First of all, your teammate is ahead of you, fully ahead. And the reason I know Carlos was ahead was because Charles literally hit his rear tire, which means he was fully ahead in that corner. And you saw the onboard. Charles went. He didn't even attempt. He just went into Carlos because he's like, my teammate cannot beat me. Not happening. No. I'm so sorry. Your teammate is faster than you. He's going to beat you. And then Carlos went into the gravel, came back out, and then like 3 laps later, he passed Charles, and Charles goes, well, he just passed me. He's not supposed to be racing me. Boy, if you're slow, he's going to pass you. Carlos was like, he turned in on me, and then Ferrari's like, yeah, we know, and said nothing.
Yeah, they were like,
and then,
crazy.
and then was it Lewis who pushed him off? And Carlos was like, he pushed me off. You have to go to the stewards. And Ferrari's like, yeah, we sent it. And nothing came out of it. And I was like, you
and they
know
didn't
if
say
that was
anything for
you?
so long.
No,
He had to get on
yeah.
video and
If
ask.
Charles,
Yeah.
that was Charles, they would have fought tooth and nail. It's just so annoying to me. Anyways, let's go back to Oscar. Let's go back to the start and talk about Fernando Alonso being hit by his son. That was son on father crime.
Okay. Consider
so sorry.
though. Consider
I'm
though.
so-
He
no,
hey,
no,
hey,
no,
hey.
no,
He had 2
no.
Alpines in front of him.
No. Anyways, the entire rest of the race, Fernando Alonso had damage, and he was just dropping. And at the beginning, people were like, why is he dropping? He's just not doing well. By the way, he was so happy at the beginning of the weekend. He's like, I'm home. I've got my own home race. I'm so happy. And then he's dropping behind everyone but the Williams.
Hey,
No offense.
come on. I've got my mouth shut.
Dropping. And everyone's like, oh, what's going on? And then I thought it was Charles, and I was like, oh, Charles, that's it. That's it. That was actually Oscar, and I was like, oh, another one of Rosie's men. Oscar Piastri, watch yourself. Little quieter because he's funny. Like, he's funny, so, like, I'll let him be.
What would you do if you had 2 Alpines in front of you right next to each other? Because me personally, I would freak the fuck out.
I would
drop
just
back
stay
a little
behind.
bit and watch.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's
I'd say anybody got
literally
popcorn
a
in
car
this
accident
car?
waiting to happen. It's a French Civil War.
Anyways, we were talking about the Alpines.
Anyways,
It was
That
they
was
were
sorry,
doing
I needed to
pretty
do that.
decent.
What
Yeah.
Gasly kind of
I don't-
cooked. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't want to give the Alpines any credit.
Okay,
But
well,
they deserve a little bit of
I'm
credit.
giving Gasly
got
some credit
points.
here for once.
They didn't fight. I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Nothing
Well,
of
actually,
note.
they could have been fighting on the radio. None of us heard. It wasn't important enough for F1 TV
There was
to air,
no.
and
There was no.
none of us were
dramatic
going on the
contact
airburst.
that you would think that the Alpines would do.
Do you know who was silent
it-
on the radio this race? It was Hamilton.
No, he said one thing, and it was after
Whole one
It
thing.
he
was
said one thing.
tires.
But yeah.
Yeah.
He was
got
pretty
on after
silent
they
the
put up
rest.
the
Wait,
cars.
also, if we're talking about the Mercedes, can we talk about the George Carlos almost collide in the pit lane?
George Russell, start counting. Don't care.
Okay.
That wasn't George
listen.
Russell's
care.
fault. That was
care.
Ferrari's fault. Ferrari almost murdered their own driver.
Likely a
but
Ferrari to do a
I-
shit pit stop. George Russell, start counting.
Also, Red Bull tweeting we're faster than McLaren, and it wasn't.
And it literally just
It was
wasn't.
1.92.
Actually was not. Yeah.
Fastest of the year. No, it wasn't.
It still wasn't.
Try again.
No,
I
McLaren's
will
fastest
say
Speaking of radios,
Oh, sorry. McLaren's fastest
we
pit
all
stop was
started at the
last
same
year.
time.
I think it might be of the year, but when they were like, we beat McLaren's record, I was like, no, you didn't.
No, you did not.
I'm not a McLaren girly, but no, you didn't.
You're not taking
Don't
that from
just
Lando.
actually,
just
no.
made up lie.
Let us have something in our lives, please.
Can't have it all, please. Not anymore.
Okay, radios, Reagan.
Anyways, Reagan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of radios, I thought it was really funny when Lando was asked whether he wanted to try and cover George or go for Max. He was very, very confident in saying that he wanted to go for Max, and then like 2 seconds later, he was like,
no, I don't
actually,
know.
guys, what do you think? What do you guys think, actually?
Yeah.
No, my
Like-
favorite thing in the whole entire world was his race engineer going, okay, Lando, we're down, and then listed every single person in the top 10. And he's like, but don't worry, I think we can do it. And I was like, why did he not just save his breath and just say, we're down on the top 10, but with this margin, I think we can keep the
He
position.
provided
Like,
last names. He said receipts. These people specifically.
like
He said, keep a lookout.
I was like, dude,
Watch
like,
for these
save
cars,
your
these
breath.
colors, these helmets.
This is why I could never be a race engineer, because in my head, I'm like, dude, just literally say, we're down on everyone. Good luck.
Also, put some respect on Will. He's doing his best.
Most of the time, I love Will. Will is very good at race engineer. However, this one, I was like, what is going on? Like, I thought it wasn't Will for the longest time, because I was
Yeah.
like, that's not something Will would do. But I was like, that is Will.
Yeah.
What else happened?
Lando
Yuki
and George
Oh.
back and
Oh,
forth.
real racing is back,
Oh,
that was
everybody.
fun.
Real
That was
racing.
good.
times.
That was so good.
3
So
times,
good.
yeah. That was like,
I was so scared. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna touch. Like something's gonna
First of
happen.
all,
Like a
when
little
George
wheel.
And they
got-
did.
when George
I-
got
my
ahead of
heart
Lando
rate-
at first, I was like, oh my gosh.
I think
I
I
literally
tweeted
was in
Mercedes
real
faster
second
than
when
second.
Lando
McLaren.
overtook.
We're
I
so
said,
not back, we're
I was
back.
like, let's go. And then George took it over. I said, no.
So I
and
was
then Lando
watching.
took it right back.
No, but when I was watching and I was like, oh my gosh, George passed Lando. Who would have thought Mercedes is faster than McLaren? And then second later, Lando took it back and went, likely. And then George took it back and was like, oh. And then Lando took it back and was like, okay.
I was watching it at my mom's, and my mom only watches F1 when I'm at her place or she's at my place. And she knows virtually nothing about it besides who my favorites are. So she knows Lando's my favorite, and she knows that Oscar is his teammate. Like that's like her basic knowledge, right? And that
Love
Max, she knows Max and whatever.
My mom only knows Charles Leclerc. That's exactly how she says it, everybody.
So
God.
we were watching it, and it goes to the part, George and Lando are going back and forth and back and forth, and she's like, "Come on, Lando." She's like, "No." She goes, "Come on, Lando." And it's the cutest thing because she was rooting
So
for Lando the
sweet.
whole time. She kept like the whole race. She was like, so that's what she was like, what does interval mean? And then she's like, and she's like really trying to learn. It was really cute. So I would like you to know, Lando Norris, if you ever listen to this, that my mom is in your corner.
If Lando Norris
did
ever
like-
listens to this literally everyone but me will never come on camera again.
No.
No, real.
It'll be
No.
the Rosie Mox show from here on out.
Yeah. I did like on 4 laps to the end, they showed that George was 5 laps from striking distance to Lewis. And I was like, that's a great graphic, F1 TV. Thank you. I'll let him know.
Wait, can we talk about last lap? And Charles completely basically saying like his tires are completely gone. And then you see at the finish line, it's going Max, Lando, and you see Charles's car going because he literally cannot control his tires. I was like, I kind of love it here. And Carlos is right behind him, just straight. I'm like, wow, tire management. Who would have thought Charles couldn't do it? Not me.
Let's cut to a little bit before the last lap. What happened to Alex? What happened to Alex?
Yeah. Oh my god, his
Alex
radio.
wants to know what happened to his car. He
was
wanted to know too.
pissed.
He goes,
I
what
think
was
I was
that?
ahead of
And
you
then
by
the radio,
like 30 seconds.
He said, what
His
the hell?
engineer going, everything's good on our end, but it is to note that is not his normal engineer. They
Mhm.
mentioned on, I think, in the fan zone Q&A that because of the triple header, they were like switching in and like on and off, who was
Yeah.
like on the team basically. So it wasn't even his regular engineer, just being like, all clear.
Once again, Jensen Button wasn't there, and the Williams drivers had a horrible weekend.
Okay,
Jensen Button, get your ass on the
He'll
pit
be there at
wall.
Silverstone.
Yeah, he's coming.
Haley
Um,
is panicking for some reason, or trying to think. Either
Yeah,
one.
I'm trying to think of how many labor laws Alpine is going to break because they don't have enough employees to swap out for the triple header.
I'm gonna go
Don't
with at
worry,
least
they've
3.
got Ryan Reynolds. They've got
Oh, Travis
They're
Kelce.
gonna
Travis
fly
Kelce.
Travis
Patrick-
out
Patrick
and Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
We got
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
Travis is
They
already
got that.
okay at
He's already in Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's already in Europe. Maybe
Yeah,
he'll
they'll
just
get
go
him.
over to Austria.
Hey, maybe
Yeah.
they'll have Jason Kelsey as well. They'll start employing
there you
him.
go. They'll loan him out.
He's
I will
retired.
tell you right now, I would
Pilot.
pay millions to have them as a strategist. I would love them on the pit wall for one.
Oh my god, my Pato car. Fuck it. Honestly, who cares?
Alpine,
Sure.
you're not really fighting for anything. Can you please give the people what they want and put the
I-
celebrity endorsers on the wall?
Like football plays and just confusing.
I need Bruno to walk around with subtitles because that man speaks French in a way that I don't understand, and he speaks English in a way that I don't understand.
No, the way that Will Buxton went up to him and he's like,
He went, okay.
Bruno, and he went, and you texted going, I have no idea what one word this man just said.
No. And Will didn't
I was
even answer. He went,
That was
okay,
not
thank you,
English
and
by
walked
myself,
off.
but that's okay.
He didn't hear either. He didn't know what he said. Bruno said, who fucking cares? You don't want to hear from me. You just walked
Real.
by me and you were like, well.
Real. And then they chased Fernando down. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like, Fernando, how are you feeling about this weekend? And he just went, and kept walking. He was like, you don't want to know how I'm feeling right now.
Anyways, back to the
Are we
race.
talking about penalties?
Oh, I like this song. I took photos.
Yeah.
The Haas. 2, both of them.
Yeah.
5 seconds each. 10 seconds
I
total
don't-
for the Haas.
Do you know that I didn't even know? I just saw Nico
And
Hulkenberg
you-
+5, and I was like, for a what? Still don't know.
Speeding in the-
speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah. So did Yuki.
Likely.
But do you want to know how much he was speeding? 0.1 kilometers per hour.
That's 2.
They really needed to get their quotas in for the week.
Yeah, they're like cops.
So we haven't been monitoring this enough.
I'm shocked Lance didn't get one. Lance
Okay,
is
to be
always
fair,
speeding in the
Jacko
pit
didn't
lane.
get one.
With Yuki's penalty, because he was running P19, I was watching him and I'm like, please, Logan, keep the gap between you and Yuki under
Okay,
5 seconds, and it never
we got to
happened
that- we got
because
to
he
that
was
part of
getting
the-
lapped.
yeah. I was gonna say we got to that point
In the
of a short
traffic.
racetrack where Logan is just blue flagged to death, and it
Yeah.
sucked.
Mhm.
It
Every single
sucks.
time.
It ruins his race every single time.
And
'Cause
it
he can't-
came back. It was to the point where at the end of the race he was +2 laps.
Mhm.
Are
Mhm.
you joking?
Yeah.
I can't keep doing this no more.
Yeah.
I'm running out. I'm running out of where there's a Williams, guys.
I
Back to the
will
race.
miss. I will miss
so
the
back-
Elf Bar merch from Aston Martin.
What?
I'm gonna miss the Elf Bar merch from Aston Martin.
I'm not. Do you know that on the driver's parade video, I was like, where is Fernando Alonso? Couldn't find him. I was like, where the heck are the green
He's at
Aston
third
Martin shirts?
McLaren.
Then I was like, who the heck? I was like, Oscar and Lando are over here. Who is this orange
Who the
blob?
fuck
And
is
I went,
that?
oh, it's Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
And he was sitting in a corner just vibing. And I was
Likely.
like, this man knows this race is going to be awful. And he was right. So that's my driver of the day.
That's fair.
Speaking of the driver of the day, Lando Norris.
Lando,
Lando was
Did well.
doing overtakes like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That
Lando had a
freaking
really good race.
photo.
He has
that
Bad
freaking
start
photo he
aside.
tweeted.
was closing
Lando-
at the end. Max.
Lando didn't even have a bad start. He just had a worse start than George. He had a better start
Yeah.
than Max.
Yeah.
George saw an opportunity and took it. It's not that Lando had he didn't get
think
off
also-
the line great, like whatever, but
I feel like every single driver has like a track they really like. Not that they're good at it, but they really like it. And I think George probably really likes Barcelona, so he probably knows the track very well.
Because of Carmen.
Okay.
I love Carmen,
Spanish
so
girlfriend.
real.
That's Queen.
Real.
yeah,
That's all
no,
I'm saying.
Lando had a really good race. And I think he could have won. I think it was a possibility. But he closed the gap to Max really well.
Mm-hmm.
Went from like 9 to 2 seconds or something.
Mhm.
Yeah. It started at around 9. He
Mhm.
ended the race, I think, 2 point something, 3 points, like
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
cut it a
As
lot.
always.
And it wasn't even.
Hold on, I
he
will
was
get you
cutting
the
gaps.
exact time. Give me 1 second.
He
It was
was
like
closing gaps the
2.2
entire
or
time.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
2.219.
Yep.
Really, I totally guess on that.
And then, okay, I don't know how the results times, if it's to the first person or the person in front of them,
Mhm.
but after that was Hamilton was plus 17.
Yeah, Lewis
Mhm.
was.
I don't know if that's behind Lando or behind Max, but
That's behind Max. He was about
Behind
15
Max.
seconds behind
Yeah, it was 15.
Lando.
wow. Oh, Alonso was plus 1. I really wish I didn't see that.
A lot
I'm gonna
of
be
them
honest.
are plus 1.
Can I just tell you that Lando, Max, and Lewis were still driving on the circuit, and I went, okay. Like, that's
fair.
enough for me.
Also, he kept fastest lap for how many laps? Like the
He got
last
the
Did he
fastest
finish
lap.
with the
10?
last lap?
He
Mhm.
finished with the last lap.
Fastest lap.
Fastest lap.
And not
Okay.
only did he get P2 in the race,
He's
He
P2
is
in the
now P2 in the
championship.
standings.
Woo!
He's
We,
18 points ahead of Charles Leclerc now.
Can we talk about the other podium? Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis
back on the
Hamilton.
podium.
Woo!
Finally.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, it keeps happening so we get Lewis's 200th podium at Silverstone. That would be
I'm
really
really
fun.
glad to see Lewis back on the podium.
Well,
Yep.
Mercedes was like, hey, we finally figured out a car, and we've built this car for Silverstone because that's their test track.
Mm-hmm.
So I have really high hopes for both Mercedes for placing at least very high. I saw that flinch, Haley.
Well, yeah, 'cause I'm already-
George on the podium.
There's
It's
really no
also
point.
I will say it is
them
also
down.
Aston Martin's test track, and that.
I liked the race.
I liked it too.
Can we talk
I
about
was
post-race
sad
interviews for the first time?
Can we talk about podium first?
I was
Don't
there.
no, I
Sad.
don't want to talk about the podium. Don't.
No champagne pop.
He was very, very
He
disappointed.
was upset.
Very upset.
Okay, I'm going back to what I said in a previous episode. Every time Lando starts on pole, he doesn't win. I know he's
This has
only
happened
ever
twice.
started twice.
Okay, and
but-
so does Charles. What's your
He has
Okay.
had pole twice.
Okay, if you would let me finish, you would see where I'm going with this. He's much better when he starts 2
Yeah.
or 3 than pole. Like, I don't know. It's like a
Mhm.
curse. He can't start on pole because something
Max
goes wrong
avoids
for him.
him when he's on pole. Like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, last time
terrifying.
he was on
That's
pole
also true.
was rain.
Okay, no,
so.
we don't want to talk about.
we don't need to talk about the
that.
last time he was
Yeah,
on
no, we don't need to talk about. No.
Yeah.
But
That's the race we
Um,
do not bring up.
And the guy almost handing Lewis the wrong trophy, and
That
Lewis
was
having to be
very
like, no, and then the
Lewis
guy
just,
still
like,
handed. He was like, no, over there.
It's just like pointing. I'm like, oh my god.
He was like, it's not mine. And then they shook hands after he was walking back. The guy was like, oh, thank you.
the guy was definitely a Lewis Hamilton fan. I saw the video of it.
He was
Also on the podium, the way Max and Lando were spraying Lewis.
Yeah.
Like,
I loved
he's
that.
back on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say, Lewis Hamilton, he is like that one person who's like, okay, never mind. I was gonna say something about soccer, but I realized you guys don't follow soccer. But maybe somebody who's listening
Mhm.
does know. But like, you know, when somebody's playing Ronaldo or Messi or like was playing David Beckham, at the end of the game, or if they like fouled them or something, they would literally be so respectful, help them up, shake their hand, like go for their jersey. Like, I feel like that's kind of like Lewis. Like, everybody is trying to overtake Lewis, but at the same time, when he succeeds, everybody is happy for him
Mhm.
because he's just so massive in the sport and he's done such good things for the sport that everyone's like, he deserves the best of everything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
See, I feel like everybody knows those 3 names: Messi, Beckham, and Ronaldo.
I was gonna say, I know David Beckham.
So, but yeah,
He's
can
married
we
to a
talk
Spice
about-
Girl.
But
Yeah. Post race.
post race. Let's talk about
Jack
those interviews.
Doohan!
No. The drivers' interviews.
Okay, he's a driver.
Like
He
Charles.
interviewed drivers.
Like
Oh,
Charles.
those post-race interviews.
Yes.
He's got to watch his mouth. I'm sorry. If there are issues
well.
between you and your teammate, regardless of what happens, if it's on the track, say, oh, we'll discuss it internally. That's all you
That's
got to say. You
real
just got to. Brother's been PR trained for how long? And then he
Mhm.
comes out with it was his home race. He wanted to do something spectacular at the at the tone that he said it with.
He didn't even say it was
Unnecessary.
his home race. He goes, I don't care if it was his home race. Boy,
Mhm.
Carlos literally spoke and said, I will help Charles win his home race. He didn't have to say that at all. He could have just been like, yeah, good luck to Charles. It's so frustrating to me because everyone is like, oh, Charles is so humble. Charles is so kind and so nice and loving. No, he's not. And then Fernando Alonso was on a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
With his sunglasses.
Fernando in the post-race interview made me giggle because I didn't realize how fast that man changed into the Elf Bar shirt. I was like, he said, screw the race suit, I'm getting changed. I said, damn, he's dressed up like everyone else. Doing post-race is always in like a race suit, a fireproof. If you're Lewis Hamilton, that big
It's
baggy
giving
shirt.
Abu Dhabi,
But
2022.
But brother was in that shirt so fast.
And the big ass sunglasses just fully.
We just get your summary of that race.
Yeah, well, we didn't have the pace. I think Barcelona, at the end,
Poor
it
guy.
puts you in the pace order. There is nothing to hide, eventually over 60.
I know for a fact he's crying behind those sunglasses because he's panting like he's crying.
I don't know. He seems pretty chill. Nah.
He's like, man, well,
No, he
it
is
wasn't the
actually.
weekend. We didn't
He's actually no.
anticipate
He's
it to be.
actually no. He was actually so chill. He said, "Yeah, Barcelona needs pace. We don't have pace."
He's like, that's
I'm like,
crazy.
Man,
I wish everybody was as chill as Fernando Alonso.
I will never forget after
Me too.
after testing,
Yeah.
he was like, I'm feeling really good. This car feels really good. I love this car. Like, we finally figured it out. And like after the first
rain.
Yep. And after the first upgrade, he's like, yeah, this car, like, we're finally going in the right direction. Second upgrade, boom. Back to the grid. Let's
Likely
just
thing
leave
for
the
Aston
second
Martin to
upgrade.
do.
Aston Martin, I have a
They love to
proposition
do-
for you.
They love to
Go
do a
back to the
mid-season-
second upgrade
Yeah.
and stop next year, maybe. Because it seems like that's the car you want.
Yeah. So, like, wouldn't it be fun if we did this and this is worse?
But we got the post race, we got Carlos and Oscar.
They were chit-chatting. They were
chatting in the back.
giggling. They were gossiping.
They were definitely laughing about Charles's talk because Charles was right there. Whatever Charles was saying. Also, I know nobody likes him, but did you see George when Charles was saying like, yeah, it's his home race, whatever? George is sipping his water and was going. he was like, oh, let me just lean in and listen in.
It's like a glass wall.
I was like, this man is a gossiper, and I love it.
Yeah.
Post race. I love Jack Doohan.
Yeah.
That's
I
all.
I
love when
love how I was
I love-
driving, and you guys were like, his hair, he needs to cut it.
Not me. Not me.
No, not his hair. I said he needed to shave or
Oh.
trim
He's
the beard
trim.
because it was looking a little scrungly.
I
But
love a
it was
scrunchy
funny.
bear.
His hair.
no, it wasn't looking right. But he was with Esteban. Like they
Okay.
pulled Esteban
Oh.
into the interview,
Oh.
and like they're because Alpine. They're
Jack-
both
was
leaving.
Jack
Or no,
smiling-
one of
was-
them's leaving Alpine.
was
The other
Jack
one's
smiling
taking
like,
his seat.
I have
But-
your seat.
But Esteban's like telling him like, "Oh yeah, you look good with the beard." He goes, "No, I didn't have time. I didn't have the time to shave it. I didn't have time. I was gonna do it in the plane, but I didn't want to clog their sink." I'm like,
Yeah.
"This is the information."
giving
I
us a whole
wanted to
backstory.
know."
Yeah.
And also when they were
the
interviewing,
bit.
You can so
when they
tell.
when they cut to the interview with
With
who was it,
Bruno?
with Bruno, and Jack's just in the center of the frame, just looking down at his phone.
Just on his
It was
phone the
so
whole interview.
unserious. And then they
Yeah,
cut
I
back and
loved it.
Will goes, "You sprint really fast."
was
And he
like,
goes,
"I know."
"Good." And then Will goes, "That's good for wanting to secure a seat in F1." I said, "Hell yes."
Yup.
You can tell when drivers have been media trained and when drivers haven't. And I can tell you right now, Jack Doohan has not been media trained.
No.
Because saying
And never
I
let him."
wanted to do it, I wanted
No.
to do it in the airplane, but I didn't want to clog their sink. That is not somebody who was media trained would say.
No.
But it's in
also
a good
his
way
dad.
though.
Yeah, no. Like he's never
He's
said
so
anything
considerate of the
problematic.
plane.
But like, it's just funny. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, an F1 driver would
driver.
never. She's
But he
an
did
F1
Forgo-
driver would
forgo
never.
the numbers.
He
But,
did
like,
grow up
it's
with watching
funny.
his dad.
Yeah,
so...
I know. But that's not the same as media training. I can tell you that right now because Max Verstappen grew up.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. But
I
Max has had PR
yeah.
training big time.
Not at first. Can we
Also,
point out
Will
though
Bring
Will
back
that
that Max, please.
can we point out that Valtteri has now been witness to 2 bitch fights in F1? Why is he always at the scene of the crime?
Because he's a gossiper. He's a yapper.
He's always just standing there.
If he
The-
wasn't
the
an F1
photo-
driver, he would be a journalist.
The photo of him standing there when with
While
and
Charles is
you
yelling
see,
it, yeah.
Well, no, I was gonna say the Max one with Esteban. You just see
He's like-
Esteban's like right here, and Max is like this, and then Valtteri's just like.
He's like, every time.
Also, wait,
Speaking
if
of
we're talking
Valtteri.
about Valtteri, their PR,
I was gonna say that.
Their
Hey,
freaking
social media.
PR.
If there's one thing Steak F1 Kick Sauber does right,
So
it's their
good.
social media. Every
The
weekend without doubt.
Abrazo.
That is so good. But also the little scooter race between Valtteri and Fernando.
With the Mario
was
Kart music.
gold.
The way Fernando didn't even know, but he immediately
No
took
money
off
into the
after him.
cars, all money into social media marketing.
Yes.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
the thing is that wasn't. Can I just? Fernando Alonso doesn't need to be told to do social media. If
No.
somebody goes zooming by him on a scooter, he's like,
He's
I gotta speed up. I gotta be fast.
It's his racing mentality, bro.
He's an athlete.
yeah.
Literally in that interview, he was like, "No, I don't have a family. I just do sports." Like this man was born to race.
Between him taking off after Valtteri and the clip of him in the back of Lance's TikTok where he just goes, he's been killing me. Him on that
Just
scooter, he turned to a
The
different person.
plants. Him sniffing the plants in the back of Max's interview last year. Him doing the 0.5s. Him
Yeah.
doing the gritty. He's hilarious. And
He
Jimmy
is
was
the
asked.
social media.
They were
of
asked. Jimmy was
F1.
like. Jimmy was asked like, did you ever have to force? And he goes, no. Fernando Alonso. I asked him, can you just do this silly thing for TikTok? And Fernando goes, absolutely. When?
Yeah,
Like
What a guy.
he's down. He doesn't care.
that's why I kind of asked Martin, if you ever fire Jimmy, hire me because I have ideas.
Yeah.
AKA, can you watch my boss while you're in the bathroom? I know for a fact he'd say something.
Oh no.
Wrapping up, Spain was not kind to the Spaniards.
No.
No.
Just wanted
No.
one good race for both of them.
Wasn't kind
Together,
to Williams
perhaps.
either.
Hey,
The only good
tough
part,
ask nowadays.
the only good part for the Spaniards was the anthem when they got to hang out
Oh.
together.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct.
That was cute.
That
Yeah.
was
I
Vermont
did
And it went
also
downhill real fast.
I also did enjoy Carlos's grandstand cheering for Lando when he drove by.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
cute. That was
Well,
very
okay,
cute.
duh. But also the grandstand with the little flags.
I did so cute.
I will miss the weird cat-shaped.
I know.
track
I
parking
learned
lot.
the shape of the track like so well this weekend, and I'm like, this is
Because
such a
of
good
the-
little
Yeah.
type cat. But no, it's
Yeah.
going away soon.
I know. Bummed about it.
Well, that's Spain. In pain. That's the first of the triple header done. Next week we will be in Austria. I've got hope for Williams. They've been good. They've been historically good at Red Bull Ring. So I pray to God something happens to that floor that pushes them forward. I'll be there
Martin?
under the car. I am the floor. Join us then. Until then, we've been the Pit Lane Yappers. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.